It's a struggle for all of us. Anyway, one friend of William's told the Daily Beast that William was, quote, above petty moves. Oh, is he? Such as putting out a video to deliberately scotch his big brother's moment. But what was that podcast then? They said it was just an accident of timing that the Rugby World Cup, in support of which the video podcast was recorded. Oh, it was about rugby, not soccer, not the women's soccer game. Not explaining why he didn't go to the women's soccer championship game. Oh, surprise. Began on the same day as the Invictus Games. Oh, what a coincidence. However, they added, quote, the reality is William can click his fingers and organize a fireside chat at Windsor Castle to bring impact to his causes, which no one feels. Harry can't do that stuff anymore, but that's the inevitable consequence of his choice to leave the royal family. William is the heir to the throne, and Harry is just a private individual without that access. That's what he wanted. Well, it's great that now that Harry doesn't have to do all that royal family work, that William can step up and practice. It will make him better, and it'll give something that he can do without, leaving Kate out of things, if you get my meaning. The unmistakable impression is of a hardening of tone from William and Kate's court when it comes to the tussle with Harry. There's no tussle. He gone. He in California, doing it on a global scale. Netflix, books, radio, television, streaming, all of that, right? Helping the disabled, the differently abled veterans and their families. In part, this is a natural consequence of the changes to the hierarchy occasioned by the Queen's death bedding in. What does that mean? By the Queen's passing is how we'd say it in America. The role of the Prince of Wales has often been that of enforcer. And William seems quite happy to own the role of bad cop when it comes to his brother. There's no bad cop. There's no enforcer. Harry left. Now all the public work has to be done by the, heir, as you say, to the throne. So go earn that love, earn that attention, earn those clicks and views. If you can't do it as well, if you look uncomfortable and stiff, then that just means you have more work to do, more learning, more to do than copying or just scheduling something boring, right? If you put a television show on, if you put a post up that gets no clicks and views, then you have to understand why. And it kind of doesn't have anything to do with Harry and Meghan. It's apples and oranges, right? It's crumpets and, what do they call it? Bangers and mash. Bad cop. More like bald cop, but okay. There is collateral damage, of course. A report in the Telegraph Thursday suggested that some of the competitors are fretting that Harry's support of the games may be behind an eerie lack of encouragement or congratulation for the athletes from the establishment, including the senior royals. Well, that's on the senior royals, isn't it? One source described as a team insider said the athletes find it bizarre, but don't want to get caught up in the royal crossfire, right? Like, look, misery and jealousy and withholding comment and support is not quite fitting with the status of a king, King Charles, or the queen consort, Camilla, or of the heirs to those thrones. It's unbecoming. If you can't get past being petty to do your official supporting and can't send a tweet, can't, wish a happy birthday, that's on you. Period. Ben McBean, a double amputee whose courage first inspired Harry to launch the event, told the Telegraph's royal correspondent Victoria Ward that he understood, quote, both sides of the argument between the brothers, but added, quote, saying that the royals should have just given the lads a shout out, and they should. It's like when we went to Afghanistan. No one supported the war, but they supported the troops. It's the same thing, unquote. However, friends of William's and the Kings dismissed this argument as naive. A friend of William's said, it's It would be a huge distraction if William were to start sending messages of support to Invictus. Of course, he supports wounded veterans, but I don't think anyone seriously thinks it would be a good idea for him to start sending telegrams to the competitors. No, you should just get on like Twitter or whatever the British social media. I don't know is Telegram British or is that Saudi as well? I don't know. The friend of the king made a similar point, saying that Charles wouldn't want to, quote, distract attention and was incredibly proud of Harry's work with Invictus and that Harry knew that. Neither Kensington Palace or Buckingham Palace responded to requests for comment on if their principals supported the Invictus Games. The simple fact remains, however, that to the casual observer, William and Kate have seemed unusually keen on putting Harry in his place this week. If another high-profile engagement for William and Kate pops up on Saturday, just in time for the Invictus closing ceremony, it will be very hard to credit coincidence. Yes, very hard. After that, the next round of the fight is likely to be fought in New York, where William is due next week to drum up support for this year's Earthshot Prize. What prize? It will be fascinating to see how a reinvigorated Harry and Meghan react to the incursion of a newly emboldened William. It will be fascinating to see how a reinvigorated Harry and Meghan react to the incursion of a newly emboldened William on their turf. It will be fascinating to see how a reinvigorated Harry and Meghan react to the incursion of a newly emboldened William on their turf. I don't think that world affairs are Harry and Meghan's turf any more than sport is their turf. It's about, how each couple, let's not forget Kate, feel and act in relation to doing public service, whether they're good at it, whether they're consistent with it, or whether they're effing off and hiding at country estates or, off on their own doing things without Kate. Hey, listen, all we can do is see and judge what they do publicly, whether they're even facing the camera when they have their podcast, whether they seem to be wearing their father's clothes, Kate included. And is that serving? Is that helping these causes? Or is it just pouting and stomping your way into what you feel is an obligation when you tried to hoodwink your brother into doing all that work so that you and your family would get credit? He stepped out on his own, wrote that book, put things on Netflix, podcast, content, keeping that content churning, right? Serving the people, serving. And you can see in the reaction of the people around them, whether it's the public or it's the family, you can see how it plays, right? We're all consumers of this content. So all I'm saying is raise the bar. You want to be at war? You want to step to Harry? Well, bring it. And maybe you need different partners and different people to coach you on how to do a better job. I look forward to your opinions and thoughts in the comments, stitches, and duets.